An absolutely magnificent day in Denver, Colorado. Don Coryell and the San Diego Chargers in town after a big win against the Bears on Monday night. They're 7-7. Dan Reeves, Denver Broncos, fighting for the AFC Western title if he wins today. And next Saturday in Seattle, the Broncos are champions of the toughest division in football. Rolf Bernerska will kick it off. Wilhite and Lang at the other end. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. We're pleased you're aboard. 75,000 sold out again in Denver, and here comes Gene Lang down at the 19-yard line as Darren Nelson up around the shoulders to make the hit. 15-yard return, and here come the Broncos on offense with John Elway at quarterback. Sammy Winder just a few yards away from the 1,000-yard club. Two tight ends, often that they'll use here, Jim Wright and Clarence Kay, the rookie down at the bottom. You saw Butch Johnson and the other wide receiver, Steve Watson. We'll watch him closely. Watson has a bad back. The offensive line, Suttard, Bishop, Ryan, Cooper, and Lanier.
Watson is in to start the game. They're going to test him.
He's to the right. He warmed up well. He had back spasms, has not practiced the last 3 days. Elway comes out throwing and has his man Butch Johnson at the 30-yard line. First down, Denver. Defensively, see Lucius Smith making that tackle. Ian, Elko, and Ferguson in the front three of the Chargers. Their linebackers young and improving every week. Lyndon King's made some big hits all year. Mike Green leads the team in tackles. Billy Ray Smith is much improved, and Woody Lowe, the steady veteran. Two waiver men at the corners, Lucius Smith and Bill Kay, with all the injuries to the Chargers defensive backs, and Ken Green and Tim Fox at safety. First down across the 30. Drilling the ball to Watson, who breaks free for a first down at the 44. Boy, Elway really fired that one into a crowd.
I talked to Steve Watson yesterday. I asked him how his back was. He said, I was able to tie my shoes today, this morning, for the first time all week. Imagine now, with that kind of back problem, being out there on the field and catching a pass. He's amazing. He's a great athlete. He really is.
Free agent pick out of Temple. He's over the 1,000-yard mark for this season. First running play of the game by the Broncos, and Winder fighting to the 48-yard line, maybe the 49. 4 yards for Sammy Winder out of Southern Mississippi. He needs just 17 starting today to hit the 1,000-yard mark. No Bronco back has done that since Otis Armstrong 8 years ago.
The running game has been very important to these Denver Broncos. Reed said it's really been the key to their success this year. But against the Chargers, they're going to have to throw the ball more. San Diego gives up yardage on the pass much more easily than they do on the run.
Unseasonably warm. Near 60 degrees this early December Sunday. Pressure on Elway. Going long for Johnson. Elway, a good job of stepping up into the cup Berlin to avoid an excellent pass rush.
Showed you some real athletic ability there as he dodged the blitz, able to get enough time to release it deep. His receiver Johnson didn't have a chance at it. Johnson's kind of in the doghouse with Elway. Dropped 3 passes last week in that ball game, which they lost to Kansas City.
Well, it's good night for New England as the Raiders now are in the playoffs. The Super Bowl champions in Miami, after trailing early in that game, has defeated Indianapolis 35-17. So the Dolphins now have home field throughout the entire playoffs. That's been assured for them. The Raiders can celebrate. They play on Monday night. I know many of them are watching right now. They are definitely one of the wild cards in the American Conference. Shows some Holden field advantages to be decided. Elway drilling it incomplete. A good play by Lucius Smith. Appeared to get that right hand in there. Smith from Cal State Fullerton. He was dropped by 2 teams during the course of this year. Picked up by the Chargers. Makes a good play.
Interesting how he was able to read the receiver. Knew exactly when to get those hands out in front of him. Very often what the defensive backs will do is when that receiver begins to lift his hands or when he uses his eyes in such a way that they know the ball is arriving, they'll get those hands out in front of him.
Chris Norman DePunt. He had a 83-yarder earlier this year. Lionel Little Train James returned one for a touchdown against Pittsburgh. End over end at the 12. Got some blockers now. to the 21-yard line. Now the Chargers have the ball for the first time. A 38-yard punt by Norman, 9-yard return by Little scores. They defeated the Bears earlier. Ed Luther is the quarterback for the injured Dan Fouts. Ernest Jackson, over 1,000 yards rushing. He could win the AFC title. Charlie Joyner, all-time receiver. Wes Chandler, the speed, 2 tight ends. Beavers and Holohan with Clapham, Wilkerson. Masick is okay. He had been injured. McKnight and White in the offensive line. From the 21. Jackson in the flat, and he loses 2. Well read by Mike Harden, the cornerback, assisted Jim Ryan. Defensively for the orange jersey Broncos, and that has been the strength of this team. Davis, Carter, and Rulon Jones, their top pass rusher. Jim Ryan, Rick Dennison, Steve Busick leads in tackles. Tom Johnston, the veteran, having another banner year. Louis Wright and Mike Harden leads in interceptions. Harden with 6. At the corners with Smith and Foley at safety. 2nd and 12. Luther's first pass, and there's Holohan across the 30 and appears to have a first down at the 32. Louis Wright on the hit, 13 yards.
You mentioned the weather earlier and how unseasonably warm it is. A big advantage with this San Diego offense. So many of the plays they run are timing patterns that require specific moves, and this warm weather allows players to really play in the same kind of weather they practice in. This is just the kind of weather they've been working out in San Diego, and who would have thought that?
It is a beautiful day, a first down. And in fact, as we left the Brown Hotel downtown here in Denver, the lights had 60 degrees at high noon Denver time, and it's now after 2 o'clock. It's dropped a bit, but could not have a more perfect football afternoon.
For those who saw that snowstorm earlier in the year, they've got to be wondering what's going on here in Denver, Colorado. I feel a little silly with these long underwears.
First down, San Diego out of that full house backfield. It's Buford McGee slamming his way for 5 before Wright could make the tackle. McGee, the star in that Miami overtime win when he raced for a touchdown to beat the Dolphins, their first loss. He's from Mississippi. Goes out on 2nd and 5. Coryell's offense reads more like pass. Rams take the early lead against Houston in the first quarter. Of course, the Rams fighting for a wild card. They're in with those 3 teams, actually 4 teams in the NFC East. Stopped at the 40-yard line, short of a first down by a yard. Picks up 4. Ernest Jackson from Texas A&M. You saw Johnny Hector of the Jets performing yesterday on NBC. He was the number 2 pick, and Ernest Jackson went in the 8th round, and Jackson has been quite a bonus for San Diego.
Ed Luther had his first start here last year against these Broncos at a game that actually San Diego got out ahead 6-0, went on to lose the game. Luther had a 1-5 record last year. He's 1-0 so far in relief of fouls in 1984.
3rd and 1, 3 men in the backfield. Oh my, Jackson, had he stayed on his feet, there was no one downfield. 3 yards and a first down.
Full house backfield, a little traditional old-time football. They bring one man in motion across the grain. That's more of the blocker, really. That's Buford McGee, 21, getting a good block on Smith. But Jackson is an explosive, flashing runner. And very often, if you can break the plane of that line of scrimmage on short yardage, with everybody stacked there, there's room to head downfield.
Pittsburgh is edged Cleveland 23-20. The Steelers fighting with Cincinnati for the championship of the Central Division. Cincinnati was winning at New Orleans. We'll give you those scores. And, of course, Denver has already heard that Kansas City is beating up on Seattle. Wes Chandler drawing a crowd at the 45-yard line. A gain of 1 as Dennis Smith, number 1 pick out of Southern California, number 49, made the tackle.
The trademark of this Denver defense is speed, team speed. They will really claw at you.
St. Louis Cardinals have defeated the Giants 31-21. Oh, that really thickens the pot in the NFC East. Luther now 3-3 Cincinnati edges New Orleans 24-21. Pittsburgh still leads by a game, but should they lose to the Raiders and Cincinnati wins next week, then the Bengals have the title. Jackson breaking a tackle in the backfield. He's in Denver territory at the 49. Harden made the hit. It's short of a first down. 7 more yards for Jackson. Third in the AFC. He started today only 42 yards behind Marcus Allen, who leads the American Conference. Freeman McNeil's season is over. He's in second place, 4 yards behind Allen of the Raiders.
Jackson showing an improved running style as the year has gone on. He really has grown into that responsibility and decides the ball. No, he really hangs on to that football.
The 3rd and 2. Jackson ran into his own blocker, and I don't think he made it. White helping out from the corner. Busick was right there for Denver.
Coryell deciding early not to do anything but play the odds here as he sends his punter onto the field. Buford will be kicking probably for the corner, although he may try and pooch this one high and get his defenders down underneath it to touch it down.
Well, those kickers hate to be in this situation. To pooch in Denver, boy, they like to really swing the leg because this is where you get those long kicks.
Especially on a nice warm day like today, the ball will just fly.
Buford hit 171 yards here last year. That's his career best. Having a good season. Gerald Wilhite at 10.
Look at that ball carry.
Oh, Wilhite's going to field it at 3.
I think that's a mistake.
And he gets back only to the 14-yard line. Denver will start deep in its own end. No score here at Mile High Stadium. 8:22 remaining in the first quarter. While we were away for that most important news report, here's the play as Elway finds Sandy Winder for a 16-yard gain.
Winder using his speed and quickness to get some extra yardage here at a big first down as Elway brings the troops up to the line of scrimmage.
First down at the 29. Gerald Wilhite. Oh, what a hit. Trying to set himself for a cut, and he ran right into Lucius Smith.
Lucius Smith showing us some excellent play when you pick up a couple of cornerbacks off the street, and literally that's what Jim Wagstaff had to do because of all the injuries to the San Diego secondary. Picked up 2 cornerbacks that had been cut twice, had really been waived by 2 other teams in the NFL, and had just put them into the starting lineup. And they played pretty darn well.
Steps himself as he put Denver in a 2nd and 11 with that tackle.
I don't think this is going to become a trend in the NFL, though.
Sometimes, though, you find a gem there. Smith is young enough. He's only 27. Looking long is Elway. Time running out. Oh, throwing the ball loosely. Still free. And finally, the Chargers fall on it at the 42-yard line. Chuck Ian, number 78. Who played his football in this part of the country at BYU.
The nemesis for the quarterback, and very often for anyone running in the open field, the blind side hit. Elway will evade the rush initially, but as he heads upfield, watch him as he tries to use that ball for balance. He'll get hit from behind right there, and the ball knocked away. Chargers pounce on it. They have an excellent opportunity.
Ball at the 42 of Denver, and the Chargers have a chance to take the early lead. Are you surprised at all at the teams fighting for the playoffs, and here clubs totally out of it, beating them late this season?
I think one of the things that happens late in the year, teams get tired and often begin looking past. I had a feeling Seattle was looking by today. They had their eye on Denver next week, and Kansas City's a good football team. They just came up and nailed them.
No question about the strength of the 5 teams in this AFC West. Chargers with a fumble recovery. Start at the 42 of Denver. Ernest Jackson, 40. And to the 32-yard line. A good gain of about 10. Ed Luther, San Jose State. 9 or 10 yards on that throw. Dan Fouts, the quarterback of the Chargers, had arthroscopic surgery this week. So obviously will not play today, but I guess could play next Sunday if the Chargers wanted him to. He's not on the injured list. But Luther's done a good job, just inches short of the first down.
Dick, I think they did put him on the injured list late today and activated Ray Preston. They had debated as to whether they should do that, but they just won't take any chances with Fouts. It's the smart thing to do. And Preston able to help on special teams in particular. But Luther, because of Fouts' durability and his toughness, has played very little in his career. Got 6 games last year, and we mentioned his first start here, and this is just his second start of this year in relief of Dan Fouts.
A year ago, he got the initial start. Look at that. Jackson powers his way to a first down at the 26-yard line. Ernest Jackson, he might well be pressuring Marcus Allen for that AFC rushing championship in 1984.
We said it earlier. He gets better and better. And the characteristic that ties these two defensive teams together is that they will give up a lot of yardage. The one difference between the two defensive teams is that the Broncos have been able to shut it down as you approach their goal line. They'll take the football away from you. They have not allowed a lot of points in this season.
You get inside that 20-yard line, and it's a different game with the Broncos. Luther. Incomplete. Busick bobbling the ball. He had a couple of shots at it, and the ball, just like a bar of soap, just kept slipping away.
It's hard to get down into a player's head on the field. You know he's got to be frustrated. He's got a shoulder problem, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's not strapped up with some straps on that shoulder with some tape on it. And that might have been one of the problems he had. Looked like he couldn't get his arms up to pull that football down.
Number 1 tackler for the Broncos this year. He has 2 previous interceptions. The Broncos have been good at that sort of thing. 29 for the year to tie a club record. They're second to Seattle. Seahawks led starting today with 34. Second and 10. Rulon Jones. Luther gets away, but not for long, and he fumbles. Was it after he was hit? Yes, he was down. Rick Jennison made the tackle. The ground caused the fumble.
Almost identical to the play by Elway just a short while ago, as you saw Luther holding that ball out dangerously in his right hand. Again, the hit from behind, and the ball bounces loose. Just at the end of the play, there it is, and you'll see him hit the ground, and the ball bounces free. Good call by the official.
A short gain for Luther on the scramble inside the 25-yard line. Will be 3rd and 8. No score, 4:43 remaining first quarter. Chargers are tough on 3rd down. That was Jesse Bendross in motion. He's going for Duckworth. No flag. Louis Wright and Steve Foley had the receiver sandwich.
The man on top of Ed Luther, number 77, Carl Mecklenburg. You'll see him both as a linebacker and as a down lineman in the game today. Mecklenburg, really a tremendous hitter. We saw him level Marcus Allen here in a Raider game earlier. He's a bright young star, and a growing number of teams using almost a mid-sized linebacker or a mid-sized lineman to play both of those positions. And A.J. Dewey, for example. Ted Hendricks did it for many years for the Raiders.
42-yard field goal try by Benerska, one of the most accurate kickers in the league. And that one couldn't be more dead center. The Chargers lead 3-0. Benerska capitalizing on the fumble recovery with 4. Well, the AFC West has been wild. Kansas City Chiefs out of the playoffs, hammering Seattle 34-7. And here, the upstart Chargers 3-0 lead over the favorite Broncos. Benerska to kick it off. Lang and Wilhite at the other end. Wilhite 5 yards deep. He'll stay there. Broncos take over at the 20. Here's what's at stake for Denver. They've already clinched the wild card berth, but they need wins today and next Saturday at Seattle to have home field advantage and the AFC Western Championship. Regardless of what happens today, the winner next Saturday, and we'll be doing that game for you around the country from the Kingdome, the winner of that game will win the AFC West. Deficit during Elway and the Broncos late first quarter. This is the best field position. Their other 2 possessions were inside the 20. Elway over the middle. Intercepted by Woody Lowe on the ricochet, and Lowe has it at the 24-yard line. Right through the arm to the Bronco receiver. Lyndon King had it, then it caromed to Lowe.
I don't know whether Lyndon King actually threw it back up into the air or whether it bounced off of his hands, but it will go as an interception by Woody Lowe. That's the 18th of his career, the 3rd of the season. Here's a chance to watch Elway from behind. Throws right over the middle. Bounced out of Alexander's hands, number 80, and bounced out of the hands of Lyndon King right into the waiting arms of Woody Lowe. Chargers, a second big turnover and great field position here. Let's see if they can capitalize.
Ernest Jackson for a couple. Busick, Jackson in on the play. Final score from Soldier Field, Chicago. Green Bay comes back on a Rich Campbell to Phil Epps pass with 34 seconds left. A 43-yard play for the win, and Kansas City has finished the job against the Seattle Seahawks, 34-7, and the biggest surprise of the day. Luther. Screen tip out. There's no one over here. Jackson had Rick Dennison right on him, and that was a wise toss by Luther.
Luther showing you some maturity in that situation. Did not do as good a job of play acting on that screen. A quarterback really has to set that up by looking like he's going downfield. Luther dropping a little too quickly into his deep drop situation there, and it just didn't fool that Denver defense. Dennison over on top of the receiver, but then he showed his maturity by throwing that ball away.
Well, always been intercepted here. We understand Dave Craig was intercepted 5 times and Zorn once in the loss to Kansas City.
After such a big week, 6 touchdowns last week for Craig?
Luther under pressure. There's his man. Just in and out of the hands of Eric Sievers, and the defensive play was made by Randy Robbins, the rookie from Arizona. Just did get a piece of it. That'll force about a 41-yard field goal by Benershka.
Let's watch the receiver here, Eric Sievers, number 85. And right here, he's going to go down the field and across the middle. He's covered by Randy Robbins, number 48. You'll see the play at the end of it. He is literally sandwiched. I believe Steve Foley also in on that play. Look at him cutting across the middle. Good coverage by the defender, and I don't think he could have hung onto that football anyway. Foley was right into his ribs. 41 yards away, and it is good. Just did catch inside that right upright, and Benershka 2 for 2, 41 yards, matched with a 42. That spells out the early lead for San Diego, 6-0 in about an hour. Offered some sympathy. Carlos hitting the upright, 2 tough tries in the late seconds for 2 losses. Wilhite 2 yards deep, going to take it out. And does get out to the 22-23-yard line. Tipped up by Gary Nelson, one of the stars of the special teams for the Chargers. The number 1 coverage man for the Chargers just streaked downfield. He's not the fastest man for them, but he got down in a hurry to make the play. There he is right at the end of it, breaking through the coverage, stretching out, just gets the touch on the ankle there, just enough to break Wilhite down.
22-yard line. The Broncos go to work. The last 2 possessions, a fumble and a pass interception. The Denver half of the field, leading to 2 Charger field goals. Up the middle goes Sammy Winder. Lyndon King with a tackle and a gain of almost 9.
One of the real bright lights for the San Diego Chargers, Billy Ray Smith, right on the left side of your screen, right in the center, actually, 54. Watch him now. He's going to come right straight at you. Billy Ray is going to blitz, heading up into the line, gets a bump right there on Keith Bishop, and just gets off, just gets a finger on the ball carrier there, but very quick reaction. Billy Ray showing you what he can do on the field.
Watson in motion on 2nd and 2. Winder toppled at the 35, a first down. Billy Ray Smith from Arkansas in his 2nd year, and they're saying even though Green leads in tackles, that this young man is really living up to his number 1 draft pick status.
There's a real lesson in his transition from college, where he was a stand-up defensive lineman and often a down defensive lineman, to his position now as a linebacker, which requires all of this dropping into the secondary. Last year was not very good on pass coverage. Went home and worked and worked and worked, and now it is one of his strengths. It makes the difference for him. He has become a great linebacker because of that.
Winder, the only back behind Elway. He now has 1,001 yards this year. Play action. All the time in the world to go to Watson. And he was running as if that back was bothering him. Don't you think, Merlin?
There's no question about it. Watson does not have blazing speed anyway. But he's working one-on-one on a man who also does not have blazing speed, Bill Kay, number 31. And ordinarily, with that kind of jump, Watson would have been right out in front. You know that Elway is throwing to his vision of Watson when he's healthy. It's hard for him to make the adjustment to Watson's back.
There was a stiff sort of a gait for Watson, and even though he had a step on his man, I think Elway figured he'd be a little farther along than he was. 2nd and 10. They just announced the Kansas City score beating Seattle. That was the roar you heard in the background. Little reverse to Winder. Did not work. Mike Green, 58.
Oh, what a great play from the inside. Green leads this team in tackles because he has a great nose for the football. He just scoped that play out and blitzed from the inside position. Excellent pursuit. You'll see him on the left side of your screen, number 58. He just read it so quickly. He'll come all the way across, dodge the bodies, close the ground, and get some help right at the end from 51, Woody Lowe. That's great inside-out pursuit by Mike Green.
3rd down and a short 9. How'd he get out of that? And there's his man, Fitz Johnson, fumbles, and the Chargers have it again. No, now they're going to call it no completion. Oh, that could have gone either way.
One of the things you will see on this play, and we'll open up so you'll have an opportunity to watch it in action. Watch the drops of the linebackers here. Here's one of the secondary. But look at all this open space right in between. That's what Elway would like to take advantage of. He gets extra time here out of the shotgun. Look how much area there is open. Finally gets the receiver hooked up into it. You'll see him right at the bottom of your screen. Look at the open area in the center there. Butch Johnson got in there, got the ball knocked away. They're a little sensitive here about that in Denver. They had a call like that really cost them a ball game against Seattle.
Kick by Chris Norman into the sun. James. He's got it covered right there. Probably a wise choice. Just inside the 15-yard line. Timeout. We have 46 seconds remaining in the first quarter. The Chargers, the underdogs, lead it 6-0. Chargers lead in the series. It covers some 25 years, going back to the AFL years. But the Broncos have been on top of late, especially here, 13-2 in Denver. But it's San Diego 6-0, final seconds, first quarter. Crowd trying to help out the Denver defense. Ernest Jackson for about 4, maybe 5. Jackson and Jackson. Tom on defense and Ernest with the football for San Diego.
Tom Jackson really has been the heart of this team for a long time. He's the emotional leader. Randy Gradishar was their leader for many years, but when Gradishar retired last year, Tom Jackson had to take over some of those responsibilities. He has had a phenomenal year. Coach is a little concerned. He's kind of tailed off a little for a brief time, but it's bouncing back now and getting back into the swing of things. It's had a marvelous, marvelous year for the Broncos.
They grew up in East Cleveland. He said they played football in the streets. The curbs were the sidelines. He said, I know how to play rough.
You didn't want to get out of bounds there.
That's the end of the first quarter. They sold out here for 15 straight years. They start the second quarter. Denver trailing San Diego 6-0. Chargers 2nd down and 5. Ernest Jackson gets outside and a first down out of bounds at the 28-yard line.
We talk about veterans in the NFL. Here's a man, 25 years. One of the original AFL coaches. He's the only one. I think there are 5 coaches from those original staff from the AFL. A man with the orange hat right in the middle of your screen. And we'll get a shot of him in a minute. He keeps a little notebook. There it is, tucked down into his pants. Look at it. He's got that notebook tucked down in there. And I said, what's in that notebook? He said, I've got to have the notebook so I can make my notes. He said, once I write it down, I remember it. But that's where he carries his information.
25 years. He's got the largest orange outfit in the history of sports. Ernest Jackson to the 33-yard line.
16 years. Joe Collier has been here in Denver. And here's the Denver defense as well. Ernie Zampese. He was talking about another defense earlier in the year. He said they played defense like the Denver Broncos. I mean, that was the compliment that he used to compliment someone else, and that's the reason.
He said he was the first one that would use a zone defense inside the 20 about 5 years ago. Everyone played man-to-man inside the 20, but Collier devised the zone defense, and now more and more clubs are using that technique.
Yeah, you saw him signaling in the defense to his defenders on the field.
Tighten the screws, I think he said.
I think he did.
2nd and 5. Wide open, Holohan. Let's talk about Pete Holohan, who has the first down. Holohan has 49 catches this year. From Notre Dame, he was just kind of hanging on. Didn't know much about him for a couple of years. A special teams player. He's become a legitimate top-notch tight end.
Well, if you want to wonder at the coaching ability of Don Coryell, when Kellen Winslow went down, people said, oh, that's going to kill this offense. Well, Holohan and Sievers really have stepped in to take that load. They're not the receivers and the force that Kellen is, but they certainly have done a great job in this season.
Rams leading the Oilers in Anaheim 17-3. We understand Eric Dickerson has run for a touchdown, a short run. Another first down for San Diego. They're moving the ball well against this Denver defense. That one intended for Charlie Joyner. Steve Wilson, 45, appeared to get a piece of him.
Charlie Joyner in with an awful lot of bodies down there. Look at the crowd that Charlie draws as he gets downfield. Charlie just go down. He's going to break to the outside. That's Steve Foley, number 43, pushing him outside. The pass a little bit late, and that's been one of Luther's problems. I think if that ball had been thrown on time, and that is a timing pattern, that Charlie was open.
I think he threw it when he saw John Joyner look at him, where Fouts would have thrown it long before that time. Oh, Jackson, is he quick into the hole?
Oh, my. He just launched his body, firing up. This Denver Bronco defensive line is not as big and physical as they were at one time. You can, if you run right at them, you can get some yardage up the middle.
3rd down and a long 5 for San Diego. Bronco defense has given up a lot of yards this year, but very few points. The Chargers have given up an average of more than 10 points a game than Denver. Nice throw. That's Sievers or Bendros. That might be it. Jesse Bendros, the rookie from Alabama, lined up in the backfield. That's a new wrinkle, and he has big yardage, 22 yards.
Jesse lined up and showed you some speed coming out of there, and that is a very difficult type of pass to throw. Luther had it all the way. Jesse Bendros, his full name, Jesse James Bendros. He stole a little bit of yardage on that one, Dick.
I was wide open. A perfect call against the blitz of the Broncos.
Ernie Zampese, the man calling those plays, he's upstairs in the press box. Sends them down via the phones, and they're relayed by signal out to the quarterback, Ed Luther.
Luther has the team in field goal range again, but he looks for more than that. Incomplete. Tough chance for Holohan. Even had he caught the ball, would have been little or no gain.
Those of you who follow these two teams will remember that when they met earlier, the 16-13 victory by the Broncos with a late drive, Holohan and Sievers were both injured, not in the lineup. Coryell having to go with a couple of backup tight ends. In fact, strangely enough, 2 backup tight ends from the Broncos, Egloff and Mitchell,
and also Drew Gissinger, a tackle play.
That's right, Drew caught a pass. Yeah. They put an 87 number on, I think, on him, and he caught a pass as a tight end.
Stoic Dan Reeves watching as the Chargers have dominated the early part of this game. Rookie Gilford McGee running through a tackle, stopped at the 27-yard line by Tom Jackson.
There are certain plays, Dick, that defensively you can't afford to bite on, and one of them is that little quick screen to the outside. You have to count on the quickness and the reaction of the defense and the tackling ability of the defense to stop that play. And even though that play was open, the Denver defense responded so quickly that it was a short game.
Duckworth to the right, Chandler to the left, Joyner slotted left, Bendros and Sievers line up in the backfield. Now there is no back. Tight end Sievers, maybe he'll stay in the block. Yes. Luther to Joyner, and a First down inside the 20. Charlie Joyner's first catch, his 57th of the year. And he goes through that ritual after the catch.
Pushing himself off the ground. He is so delightful. I asked him about last week. They had a big ceremony for him at halftime in the Charger game. The mayor declared it Charlie Joyner Day, and Charlie was able to give his jersey and the football that he caught his record-setting pass with to the Hall of Fame, taken back by Don Smith. And his old coach, Eddie Robinson from Grambling, was there to help him celebrate the occasion. He's the kind of guy that doesn't want that much attention, though. It's embarrassing, I think, a little bit to it.
All-time receiver, breaking Charlie Taylor's mark a couple of weeks ago and adding with each reception. Offside, a little movement. Jackson dragged down by Louis Wright.
Well, it might have been a movement by... Now, what are they going to say? Yes, they're going to say that Clapham moved early on that play.
Jerry Mark Bright, the referee, to sort things out.
Rulon Jones already across the line, but I think he was pulled by a movement by number 77, Sam Clapham.
The first penalty of the game. That's a good piece of news, isn't it?
Both these teams a little bit not as emotional, not as high as I thought they might be. The Chargers obviously very loose as they approach this game. They have absolutely nothing to lose. They're in the spoilers role. But the Broncos with a great deal at stake today.
So the motion penalty will cost the Chargers 5.
Illegal motion, number 77, offense, first down again.
Back at the 24-yard line, it'll be first and 15. Clapham, they call him the Chief. He is half Cherokee Indian.
He's concerned about Rulon Jones. Obviously, in a passing situation, Rulon is a very quick pass rusher, a finesse rusher, and often you see that, Dick. Those offensive linemen want that jump. They want to get back so that rusher can't be on them too quickly, and sometimes they get back a little too fast.
Joyner lines up in the backfield, now goes in motion.
The blitz is on.
And Luther is sacked for the first time, Rick Dennison, and that is a Denver all-time record, the 51st of the year.
An 11-yard loss. And once again, the Denver defense comes up with the big play when they have to make the big play. They've done it consistently all year long. Luther will get pressure from the right side. There he is, 55. Dennison puts him on the ground, takes them way back. Luther's going to have to pick up some yardage to get him back in field goal range.
All the way back to the 35-yard line, where it'll be second down and 26. 6-0. Chargers lead. 9:51 remaining in the first half. Going for Duckworth. He's open, but out of the end zone. Bobby Duckworth of Arkansas, and of some notoriety after last Monday night when he lost one touchdown but came back to make amends. He was out of the end zone.
Bobby Duckworth, right at the bottom of your screen, is just going to run a wide open up. He's going to use his speed now to just try and blow by the defenders. Watch him here as he just accelerates, zips right past him, has the opening there. He's deep on Wilson, Steve Wilson, 45. But you saw it very clearly. He was out of the end zone and can't do that.
Boy, did you see the strides, and he does have speed.
About an 8-yard stride every time he steps, I think.
He was a great decathlon star in high school in Arkansas, the state champion. Third and 26. Surprisingly, not out of the shotgun. No, not good. It bounced to Severs and bounced away. Here comes Bernerska. This will be a long field goal try. He was practicing from 58 yards in warm-up and not doing that well.
Now, this is definitely a long shot, but if you're going to kick the long field goals, what a great place to kick them. Here in Denver, where you can use the altitude, that ball just flies further. Well, like the golfers here, if you play at sea level and come up to Denver, you take about a club less when you hit the ball. That ball just flies.
His longest ever, Bernerska, and a club record is 53. This would tie the San Diego record held by Bernerska.
No.
That's about how he was kicking them in practice. A little too much. and he may have been trying to hit it too hard.
When you go for a long field goal, you want that big contact, and sometimes you hit the ball a little bit high, and you line drive it.
So Denver will take over in a good position at the 30. Dick Enberg, Merlin Olsen, welcome back to Denver, Colorado, Mile High Stadium, where the Broncos, with a victory, would tie Seattle and send it into that climactic game on Saturday next at the Kingdome. But they trail San Diego 6-0, and the Chargers have rolled the football 14, almost 15 minutes to Denver's 6+. Elway completes it to Paris. Rick Paris into the game, his first call, and Billy Ray Smith makes the tackle. It's short of a first down.
Clarence Kay, number 88, the tight end. You'll see him at the bottom of your screen. Very often a man gets open, and he just is not spotted by the quarterback. Watch Kay going all the way across the field. There's no one around him, but the quarterback was looking upfield. Actually got a pretty good gain out of the play, but Clarence Kay is out there saying, hey, throw it to me. I got all kinds of room.
He's caught only 15 passes this year, and maybe the defense of San Diego gambling and say, hey, let's not even bother with him. We don't think they're going to throw to him anyway. Screen for Winder. He has the first down at the 47. Bill Elko, number 68, who has, a half dozen thin snakes. He really is very fond of that creature. One of these unique people in the game of football. His uncle is Frank Cush, the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts.
Timing just a little off on that play, Dick. It looked like Winder ready for that ball a little earlier, and things kind of closed up. The ball a little slow getting there. There was nothing really except short yardage in the first down for Winder to pick up.
Watson way out of your picture, bottom of the screen. Winder up the middle to the San Diego 49-yard line. Gain of 4.
This is the Jim Wright, number 87, right here. Now he's going to go in motion, and he ends up blocking to the inside. Watch him as he'll slide inside on this play. This is the H-back. Look at this. As he dives in, he actually becomes a lead blocker for that play. Ends up blocking on Mike Green, number 58. Green did a good job, but that's the H-back concept that has become such a big philosophy for so many teams in the NFL. Big men on big men, a lot of advantages to that kind of system.
Kind of the pulling guard in reverse, isn't it?
It surely is.
Elway. Incomplete. The ball was out of bounds. Clint Sampson, 84, the target, but had he caught the ball, it would have been incomplete anyway.
Let's talk just for a second about that H-back concept. And you described it perfectly on that play. That's like a pulling, instead of a guard pulling from the inside, it's a big tight end coming from the outside. Also, if you have a good receiver at that position, someone who can block and catch as well, because they're close to the line, you can put an extra receiver into the pattern very quickly. The other thing you can do is shift the strength of the formation by running that H-back across from one side to the other. Often you'll see him start in, turn around, come back. It creates a lot of confusion for the defenses.
Broncos looking for their first point. 7 minutes left in the half. 6-0 San Diego. Elway finds a man open. Alexander down at the 31-yard line. The first catch for Ray Alexander.
Gambling does not always pay off. The 24, Miles McPherson, the man who decided he was going to take that football away from the receiver. He gambled. You'll see him on the right side of your screen. He's already gone past the defender. He missed the football and opened it up. Tim Fox, number 48, finally over to make the tackle. But the Broncos have their first drive of the day going.
Their deepest penetration at the Charger 30-yard line. 6.5 minutes remaining in the half. Chargers 6, Broncos nothing. Here comes Winder. Back to the inside. With wonderful balance, Winder ad-libbing his way to the 23-yard line.
It's interesting how many good running backs have learned to cut back against the grain. That was something that very few running backs did for years. And now you see more and more of it. An overreaction by the defense. Winder using his speed and balance, as you indicated, to get some extra yardage on the play. He's down with about, a second, 3 yards, a little over 3 yards to go for the first down.
Watson right. Kay and Jim Wright. Book in the line, actually, Wright is your H-back in motion. Elway on a split out to Parris, but that gains maybe a yard at best as Lyndon King had it well covered. King from Colorado State playing with a little extra energy in front of some of his friends and fans in this wonderful area. Washington trailing Dallas 14-3 in the second quarter. In this last report, another late game, the Rams were leading Houston 17-3.
What a big game that is. Cowboys finally coming to life here in the late season. Went through a horrendous midseason slump.
Broncos in the last 2 weeks have been miserable at best on third down. And Dan Reeves with us. Third down and about a 3, wants to talk it over with Elway. Timeout, 5:01 remaining in the first half. And 3 for the Broncos at the San Diego 23-yard line. 5 minutes remaining in the first half, 6-0 Chargers. Elway after visiting with Reeves, he goes to the air, and Wilhite was inside the 20. It'll be a first down at the 19-yard line. Knocked back by Miles McPherson, but he does have the first down.
We mentioned the similarities in both of these defenses. They give you some room underneath. They drop deep, and then they come up and try and force the mistake. They'll try and knock that ball loose. You saw it there as they leveled on Wilhite, but Wilhite hung on for the first down.
Finals, Pittsburgh wins. Kansas City upsets Seattle. The St. Louis Cardinals are still in the thick of things. Philadelphia upsets New England. The Patriots' playoff hopes are over. First down at the 19. Not quite to the 15. It'll be second and long. Other finals. Green Bay wins at Chicago. Walter Payton ran some plays out of the single wing. Miami wins again, 4 more touchdowns for Marino. Cincinnati still alive with 1 game to go in their fight with Pittsburgh. 23-6 Tampa Bay. Atlanta really struggling at the season's end. Dallas leads 14-3. 17-6 Rams in the second quarter. You're up to date here at 6-0. Stay tuned. I'll have all the results, highlights, NFL 84, Costas, and characters. A reverse to Butch Johnson, breaks the tackle, and gets to the 13. They allowed a smoke and mirrors, but not much yardage out of that play.
I'll tell you, the maddest man on the field, 78, Chuck Ian, had Butch in the backfield. Butch just did a little shadow dance on him and got away. He is back there slamming his fists together. Butch able to pick up some yardage. It's still going to be a relatively long shot. Third and about 4 to go.
Time running out in the first half. 11th play of this drive. And Elway on third and a short 4. Works from the shotgun. And that was not a good throw at all. And a flag down as Elway under pressure threw it low to Alexander.
We've got a holding call in the middle of that offensive line.
We'll see whether it figures that the Chargers will decline the penalty and force the Broncos to kick a field goal.
Keith Ferguson, number 76, is really the toughest of the rushers in there for the Chargers. He's really come on strong.
Holding, number 54, offense, penalty declined, fourth down.
And here comes Rich Carlos onto the field. Carlos, who has hit the upright twice in the final seconds. The last 2 weeks, both losses, been under obvious pressure, and yet the fans of Denver have been tremendously supportive of this man, whom they have voted the NFL Man of the Year for the Denver Broncos. Let's see what happens. A 30-yard attempt. He's hit the right upright 2 weeks ago, then the left upright last week at Kansas City. It's 6-3, and Carlos can breathe a little easier. It's been a field goal season for Denver. 14 games, 7 of them have been decided by 3 points. 2:50 remaining, first half, 6-3. Well, with Looks as if that picture is staged. Rich Carless about to kick off, and Colorado is Carless country. Kid from Cincinnati, and they really love him here. 6-3 the score.
Very high kick.
Lionel James at the 4. Little train out to the 22-yard line with 2:41 remaining in the half. Well, there's so many things to talk about here, but most important, we should credit those wonderful pictures and sounds and direction to Ted Nathanson and Larry Cirillo. We forgot all about him last week in Miami.
I want to tell you, it's a pleasure to work with professionals, Dick. And when you have a crew that can capture the actions on the field, it just makes our job so much easier. And it's fun. A day like today, a perfect football day, a couple of teams battling it out there, slugging it out on the field. But this is an enjoyable Sunday afternoon for us.
Chargers trying to make it an unhappy one for the Denver Broncos, and Buford McGee flashing his way out to the 34. Steve Busick made the tackle, 11-yard gain, and with 2.5 minutes left, the Chargers obviously with plenty of time to try to get that 3 points back that Denver has just scored.
The trademark of this Denver defense has been turnovers. I'm sure that's what they're thinking about now. Now, I asked Merle Moore, the linebacker coach here, I said, you teach your linebackers and your players defensively to strip the ball. He said, no, we're just around that ball, and good things happen for us.
You saw Jackson zeroing in as Ernest Jackson is out to the 39-yard line, and that'll take us up to the 2-minute timeout. 6 more yards for Ernest Jackson. It's 6-3, San Diego, 2 minutes before the break. Should be a terrific game. The Steelers and the Raiders are up. Rolf Bernerska, certainly a terrific young man, and acknowledged last year as the NFL Man of the Year, and he's been most involved in a blood drive in San Diego. More than 5,000 pints have been contributed, and Bernerska has been a key factor there. That means $67,000 saved by those who receive that blood. And Wednesday will be the San Diego Charger blood drive. We understand at the Town and Country Hotel Convention Center. We hope the contributions will continue. What a pass for Jackson, leading him perfectly and taking him out of bounds at the 42-yard line. Short gain, stops the clock, 1:54.
One of the knocks on Luther early was that he tends to gun the ball, to throw it too hard. He showed you some real finesse with that pass, and that is a very difficult pass. Looks so easy, just a little swing out of the backfield. But I think that's one of the toughest passes to throw. Has to be perfectly thrown, not to break the stride of the receiver. Jackson able to catch it in full stride. Gets upfield and very close to the first down. Third, about a yard to go.
It's interesting. We have John Elway, the quarterback for the Broncos. Jack Elway, his father and coach, now at Stanford. But Jack Elway was Ed Luther's coach at San Jose State. So Mr. Elway has an interesting day. Jackson, I don't know.
Short. He's going to be short. He's knocked down short of that first down. Now it's going to be 4th down. Let's see if... I don't imagine the Chargers are going to want to gamble here. Not this far into their own territory.
Wouldn't figure with a 6-3 lead, although 147 would give the Broncos a lot of time to try to...
Well, now they've decided they will measure it. They'll bring the chains all the way from the far side of the field. Dick, I wonder if, looking at the tempo of these two teams, do you think that the loss of Seattle maybe took a little bit out of this ball game? Hard to read these Broncos. They have not been as emotional today as I anticipated that they would be.
Well, you would figure teams like the Bears would be very emotional too, and San Diego defeated them 20-7 on Monday night. The Bears, to be sure, without healthy quarterbacks, that's a factor. Losing again today to Green Bay. Now timeout called by Denver. Now figuring they're going to get the ball. Clock will be stopped again on change of possessions, and they have 1 timeout left. And we have time now to send you back for some very important words. It's 6-3 here in Mile High Country. Dan Reeves and his son on the sideline.
It's got a job down there that your coaches, when they wear that headset, are tied with an umbilical cord. And Lee is kind of minding the cord for his dad. You see him pacing a little, and Lee is making sure that cord doesn't get tangled up so he doesn't lose communications with the booth upstairs.
That's really following in your father's footsteps. Buford's kick is off the side of his foot and out of bounds. So
not a good kick.
Denver's going to get excellent field position out near the 34-yard line.
Chris Norman shanked a couple for Denver last week, and now Amari Buford returns the favor here as he boots one off the side of his foot. Puts the Broncos in excellent field position with a few seconds on the board. See if they can maybe get down, take a shot at it. 1:40 to go here.
24 yards on that punt. First down, Denver at the 34-yard line. Plenty of time for the Broncos, who trail 6-3. Watson comes out to the right. Butch Johnson to the left. Alexander slotted left.
They're soloing up single coverage on Watson. They don't think he can run.
Elway over the middle to Wilhite. Tackled at the 44, a gain of almost 10. Mike Green made the stop. Only one timeout left for Denver. Wilhite and Winder lining up on the wings of Elway in the shotgun. Flag down. I believe Denver started before the play. Winder almost, and San Diego.
No, they're calling it no catch.
Ooh, that would have been a touchdown because Lyndon King had no one in front of him, but he had the pumpkin. Motion against the Broncos.
Broncos hurrying and may not have been set for a full second as they were getting ready to snap that ball. That often happens when you try and hurry too fast. The San Diego Chargers have been using 6 backs.
Number 76, offense, second down.
Kenny Lanier, the right tackle. The Chargers have been using 6 backs today. I don't know how many healthy ones they have. They've gone through so many defensive backs on the season. They've used 43 moves, roster moves, moving people on and off the roster during this year. Just incredible, the injury problems, and many of those problems in the defensive secondary, where all 4 of the original starters no longer in their positions. They've gone out of some of them right off the roster, and some still coming off injuries.
Over the middle to Alexander, hit immediately by Lyndon King. That'll be a first down, but what's important here, the clock is running on Elway. Exactly a minute left.
Elway will have them on the line without a call. 2-minute offense here.
Chargers rushing only 3 men. Oh, almost intercepted. Andre Young diving in front of the intended receiver, Winder.
San Diego defense, everyone dropping extremely deep. The thing they're thinking here, we will not give you the easy shot deep. If you're going to move it down the field, you've got to throw the short passes and work your way down the field.
Stops the clock with 49 seconds left in the half. 6-3. San Diego leading. They turn 2 turnovers into field goals. 42 yards by Benershka, and then 41 yards, and then a 30-yard field goal by Carlos here in the second quarter. Going for it all to Butch Johnson, and he was well covered. 31, Bill Kay from Purdue, former Oiler, had him pinned away from the ball.
The advantage there, Kay started extremely deep in the secondary, lined up about 12, 15 yards deep, and even a speedy receiver has trouble overcoming that kind of a jump.
Well, we've been looking forward to that one for a long time. Merlin and I will be up in the Kingdome in Seattle. The Broncos and Seahawks, regardless of what has happened today, the winner of that game is the champion of the AFC West.
Folks up in Seattle licking their chops, and I'm afraid Chuck Knox's team may be looking past Kansas City today.
Complete at the
clock is running, though. They'll come up. They'll try and set it quickly. Ticking down.
Wilhite, 10 yards on that catch. 26 seconds. They have 1 timeout left.
You see Elway running over to tell Butch Johnson to play. The noise of the crowd here working against Elway. You see him trying to quiet him down.
15, 14, 13. That's going to be almost intercepted by Kay. Intended for Butch Johnson. 11 seconds showing on the clock.
You think it's noisy here. These Broncos already thinking about next week. Their owner, Pat Bolin, is having them fitted with special noise plugs, earplugs for that Seattle stadium next week, the Kingdome. I think they might need them.
Mr. Bolin, who's from Canada, apparently the Winnipeg team used these industrial earplugs when they played against Vancouver in indoor stadium, the British Columbia Lions, and some Oregon manufacturers going to fit $100 a pair, the entire Denver team. It cuts out outside noise, and you can still hear close conversation.
How are you going to hear the audibles, Dick?
Well, they say you can still hear the close conversation. Wilhite has to get out of bounds and does at the 33 with 5 seconds left, and that will make it a very tough try for Carlos, and you know this crowd really rooting for this young kid to boom a big one, and this will be a long try of around 50 yards.
You mentioned the kind of support he's gotten from this Denver crowd. He said he'd had over 200 letters after the second kick had hit the upright, and I said, how many bad ones? He said, it amazed me. He said only 3 that were really nasty. He said most of the others, in fact almost all of them, in support.
His longest ever is 45. This would be 50 yards to tie. He's got it. Carlos's longest of the year, 50 yards. The first half comes to an end.
He doesn't show much of a reaction here, but you have to believe that inside, that young man is jumping up and down.
Well, as he told us yesterday, I can't get myself down too low when I miss him, and it just figures that he can't be too thrilled when those go down the middle. But what he has done is made his teammates mighty happy, and the crowd as well. That's the intermission. The Chargers and the Broncos even on field goals.